and Merry Christmas. My name is Hideout and welcome to the Pantheon, where we've got a lovely gift from Santa's bulging sack. It's Satoru Umezawa. The Umezawas are back. 3 mana, 2/4 human ninja. Whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This ability triggers only once each turn. Each creature card in your hand has ninjutsu for 4 mana. That's pretty goddamn cool. We're going to be cheating quite a few things into play. Ninjutsu, wonderful ability. I absolutely love it. You know, it just works fantastically. It's really flavorful. You're sneaking in and then you're killing someone with, a big finishing blow. But this card, the artwork, amazing. There's just so many things to like about this card. And it's a cool direction that we're going in for Demir here. Who doesn't like this? So, all over, I like this card. It's cool. You're cheating things into play, saving on mana costs, and it's also, a nice combat-based sort of commander. There's a lot of things to like about this. Do you know what else is really nice and, you should probably like? My channel! So subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be making videos like this for every single legendary creature. And dear God, there's a lot of them. So come and join me. Without further ado, let's have a look at my top 5. So in at number 5, what have we got for Mr. Umezawa? Well, we've got things with ninjutsu, because yes, our commander gives all of the creatures in our hand ninjutsu, but we want cheap ninjutsu creatures so we can get that sort of ponder sort of effect. I don't know what card it's closest to, but you're looking at the top 3, putting one into your hand. Strategic planning, no, that puts it into graveyard. I don't know, but anyway, we want to be doing that as much as possible, so let's fill the deck with ninjas. Ingenious Infiltrator is a 4 mana 2/3 Vodolkan ninja. Ninjutsu for a blue and a black. Whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So this works really well with just any ninjas that we've got. Drawing cards, always good, I've heard. And we're going to be getting that effect of our commander, once each turn. Similarly, there's Ninja of the Deep Hours, exactly the same card, except mono blue. The Human Ninja 2/2. Ninjutsu for 2. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. So actually worse, but it's cool because it just costs you 2 mana. It's only 1 blue. You don't have to have that blue and the black, although if you played your commander, you probably do. Anyway, then we've got Fallen Shinobi. 5 mana, 5/4 zombie ninja. Lots of different ninjas. Ninjutsu for 4 mana. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top 2 cards of their library. Until end of turn, you may play those cards without paying their mana cost. We're just stealing stuff, and it's so good. Ninjutsu, wonderful mechanic. We do need a few things to get in. Win the ninjutsu, but that's coming up later in the list. This is a great card, and it will win you games. You'll hit like an Emrakul off the top, or a Blightsteel Colossus off the top of your opponent's deck. Ooh, love it. Finally, there's Higa the Still Wind. 5 mana, 3/4 human ninja. Ninjutsu for 4. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may search your library for a ninja card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and if you do, shuffle your library. Pay 2, target ninja creature, can't be blocked this turn. So that's doing everything we want this deck to do. We're getting other ninjas out of the deck. We're making things unblockable so we can actually get in and then ninjutsu other things in. Ooh, what a game player. And that brings me on to number 4. And in number 4, well, we've got things that are unblockable. The Demir Infiltrator being my favourite, because the thing with ninjutsu is, so this is the creature we want to be attacking. We're going to ninjutsu using this creature. Ninjutsu returns the creature back to our hand. So, Demir Infiltrator, swing in, then we ninjutsu it back, and then we can transmute it for a different card. So this is a multi-use card. Transmute, 3 mana, discard this card, just like cycling. Search your library for a card with the same converted mana cost as this card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. Transmutes only as a sorcery. So you can go and get any 2-drop in the deck, so a nice Mana Rock, or maybe Animate Dead, which will come up later. But this card, amazing. And just having those unblockable creatures is phenomenal. This one is really awesome. Wormfang Crab, 4 mana, 3/6, Nightmare Crab. What a type line. It is unblockable. And here's a slight downside, but This is Commander, we can make it work. When it comes to play, an opponent chooses a permanent you control and removes it from the game, so it goes into exile. Could be our Commander, could be a land. When it leaves play, return that removed card to play under its owner's control. So, if you're making an alliance with someone, you can say to Jeff over there, yeah, Jeff, how you doing? Yeah, I know, Christmas, terrible, isn't it? But you can say to him, well, okay, if I help you out, you pick this creature that has an enter the battlefield effect. We flicker it out. When this bounces back to our hand through ninjutsu or something like that, I get an enter the battlefield effect. You can really manipulate things to make it worth your while. This is a great card for the deck. Similarly, we've got Flitter Step Eidolon. 2 mana, 1/1 Spirit. It can't be blocked. Nice. And it has Bestow for 6 mana. So it gets +1/+1 and can't be blocked if you enchant it onto a creature. So the great thing is, early game we can play this out, then, use it to ninjutsu something in. Then the thing we ninjutsu in might not have evasion because it's just a big massive enter the battlefield effect, something like that we cheated in. Well, we can pay 6 mana to put this onto that creature and then we can get in again. Excuse me. So this is a great card to be bouncing back. Then we've got the Soul Sworn Spirit. Look at those arms. They're just massive. 4 mana for a 2/1. That's terrible. It's unblockable, but when it enters the battlefield, detain target creature and opponent controls. Until your next turn, that creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. That can really shut down someone's commander. A lot of commanders have activated abilities, like Mael of the Anima. Well, we just detain it. It can't use it. It can't even attack or block. Really nice, and we can bounce it back to our hand with ninjutsu and reuse this, get the into the battlefield again. Then here are a couple of 1 mana beaters that you want in this deck because unblockability is just so good for ninjutsu. Mistcloaked Herald, 1 blue mana for a 1/1 Merfolk Warrior. It can't be blocked. Is this any different? Slither Blade, 1 mana, 1/2 Naya Rogue. It can't be blocked. And then we've got Changeling Outcast. 1 mana, 1/1 Changeling, so it's every creature type. It can't be blocked and it can't block. So technically this has more downsides because it can't block, but blocking's for weirdos, isn't it really? And we want to be having as many ninjas on the field as possible because things like the ninja cards care about other ninjas dealing combat damage. So this is a ninja. So that's really quite cool. Which brings me on to number 3. And at number 3, we've got Mistbind Clique. And I've talked about this God knows how many videos ago. We've made a couple of, almost 200 now. But in this sort of ninjutsu deck, I love fairies alongside it. Mistbind Clique is one of the best because it has evasion, it's got flying, and they usually have fantastic enter the battlefield effects. So 4 mana, Fairy Wizard, Flash, Flying, Champion a Fairy. If you've never seen that mechanic before, basically what it is when this comes in, you have to put another fairy into exile or you sacrifice this card. Then when this leaves play, that other fairy comes back, so you're flickering it, so you get another trigger of an enter the battlefield effect. When a fairy is championed with Mistbind Clique, tap all lands target player controls. So what we can do with this, because it has flash, our opponent goes to their turn, in their upkeep, we flash this in, boom, tap all the lands. If they've not got an instant, they can't cast anything because all the lands are now tapped. Then we get back to our turn, attack him with this, we ninjutsu it out, so it's back in our hand, and then we can do it all over again and just keep locking people out of the game. This commander leads to a really quite cool control strategy. And then Vendilion Clique is a great card for that style of play. 3 mana, 3/1, Flash, Flying. When it enters the battlefield, look at target player's hand. You may choose an online card from it. If you do, that player reveals the chosen card, puts it on the bottom of his or her library, then draws a card. So the great thing about this card is you can use it on yourself. Say our hand is complete garbage, which is often the case in Commander, isn't it? Which is why cycling's the best mechanic. This is a card that cycles when it enters. Oh, God. Anyway, we can use this on ourselves to filter through the deck, draw another card that we might be able to use, or we can just disrupt our opponents completely. See what they're doing. Oh, you got a combo piece. Well, no, you don't. It's on the bottom of your library. Wonderful card. Then we've got a Hypnotic Sprite. 2 mana for a 2/1 flyer, but it's got Mesmeric Glare for 3 mana in an instant. Counter-attack spell with converted mana cost 3 or less. So we can use this, ninjutsu it back, then counter something, then recast it, ninjutsu it. it leads to a cool line of play. You can just keep sort of going through those stages over and over again. Similarly, there's Brazen Borrower, 3 mana, 3/1 Fairy Rogue. Flash, flying. It can block only creatures with flying. Yeah, we bothered. Not really. Petty Theft, 2 mana for an instant. Return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. That's any non-land permanent, so it just hits artifacts, enchantments, anything we want to do. Great bit of value. And he's stolen a little potion, that little tag. Then there's Fairy Harbinger, 4 mana, 2/2 flash, flying fairy wizard. When it comes into play, you may search your library for a fairy card, reveal it, shuffle your library, and put that card on top of it. So this is great if we want to set up a ninjutsu, because then when we're in ninjutsu, we look at the top 3. Oh, great, we've got our fairy straight into our hand, and we can play it straight away. Sets up the deck and really acts as a glue for the rest of the deck. Then Spell Stutter Sprite. I might have fallen over my words there. 2 mana, 1/1 flash flying. When it enters the battlefield, can target spell with converted mana cost X or less, where X is the number of fairies you control. Really, really nice bit of interaction. We bounce it back, do it again. Then there's Nimris, Una's Trickster. 5 mana, 1/6. What a stat line. Flash flying. Whenever you cast the first spell during each opponent's turn, look at the top 2 cards of your library. Then put one of those cards into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So this is good with all of the other fairies because, you know, pretty much all of them have flash. And we want to be playing at instant speed as much as possible when you're playing blue. Then on to number 2. We're going to be wanting to deal combat damage, aren't we? Because all these unblockable creatures get in. You can only ninjutsu an unblocked creature, so whatever creature we put in is going to deal damage. And so, why don't we Mind Leech Mass? 8 mana, 6/6 horror with trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may look at that player's hand. If you do, you may play a non-land card without paying that card's mana cost. Ooh, that is phenomenal. And this is a card that was basically turned into a ninja. I think it's called Mistblade Oni. I think it's a demon ninja, but this card, I've always loved it. It's so big, it's so sort of cumbersome, and cheating it in for 4 mana is brilliant, and we're going to get that trigger when we deal combat damage to someone else. Then here's a slightly different one. We've got Hacker Whispering Raven, which is the opposite side of Allrund, God of the Cosmos. So Hacker is really cool because it's an early game flyer, a nice evasive threat that we could ninjutsu in, but it has its own trigger to return it back to hand and then replay it later. So it's flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, return it to its owner's hand and then scry 2. So digs through your deck really nicely. And then on the other side, we've got Allrund, God of the Cosmos. 5 mana for a god, 1/1. Ooh, gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand and each foretold card you own in exile. So the foretold thing, you could put your foretold cards in here if you want to have that little bit of synergy, but they're not that great. At the beginning of your end step, choose a card type and reveal the top 2 cards of your library. Put all cards of the chosen type into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So if you've used Hacker, you know, to scry a bit, you're going to know what you're going to hit. And this can just be a massive threat by itself. But Lord of the Void, 7 mana, 7/7 flyer with demon. When it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 7 cards of that player's library. Then put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield under your control. Ooh, that's really good. There's a nice sub-theme in this deck of stealing things, because if you're a ninja, you're sneaking in there. You want to steal some good gear, don't you? So stealing whatever you want from the top 7 is pretty goddamn good. And this is just a massive evasive threat by itself. We cheated in for 4 mana, and then we just keep hitting with it. It's nice. Then we've moved on to Ashling the Extinguisher. This is a card I've always liked. I've never particularly seen a good use for it, and maybe this isn't either, but 4 mana for a 4/4 elemental shaman. When it deals combat damage to a player, choose target creature that player controls. He or she sacrifices that creature. So the thing is, this doesn't have evasion by itself. So cheating it in with ninjutsu ensures that we get at least 1 trigger. And the great thing is, it can get rid of indestructible creatures because the opponent is sacrificing it. So there's a use case for this, but is it that good? Not really. Blade Griff Prototype, 5 mana, 3/2 Griffin with flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, Destroy target non-land permanent of that player's choice that one of your opponents controls. Okay, so a nice little political tool. You can sort of manipulate people. Yeah, okay, you know, I'm going to deal you 3 damage, but you can destroy anything you want over there. Are we friends now? Of course, they say no and spit at you. But this is a great card because it has evasion by itself. So this could be the card that you're ninjutsuing off or the card you're ninjutsuing in. Similarly, there's Necropolis Regent. 6 mana, 6/5, flyer, vampire. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put that many 1/1 counters on it. Ooh, all those 1/1s that are unblockable. Well, going to be 2/2s, 4/4s, 8/8. Somebody stop this utter madness. But this is a great card to sneak in because straight away, when this deals combat damage, you know, we sneak it in, it's going to be a 12/11 default. Default? Why did I say that? By default, I guess. You know, oh God. Let's move on. Let's have a look at number 1. So the thing with cheating things in is we don't get on-cast triggers, you know, like the big Eldrazi, they don't really work, but we get enter the battlefield effects. And one of my favourites in blue-black is Kederek Leviathan. 8 mana, 5/5. When it comes into play, return all other non-land permanents to their owner's hand. Okay. 7 mana, we can unearth it. So we bring it from the graveyard onto the battlefield and then exile it whenever it leaves. But this is fantastic because for 4 mana, we can cheat it into play, bounce everything back to our hand. And the thing is, because it's our turn, we have the advantage. We can then redeploy something else. So recast our commander, recast another couple of our little 1-drops. Everyone else has lost everything and we can rebuild after that. Wonderful. And if we're ninjutsuing it in, we're also going to get that trigger off our commander. So we're going to dig a bit deeper, get a bit of advantage. This can lead to a wonderful, wonderful control shell. And Animate Dead is a wonderful way of taking advantage of it. 2 mana for an aura. Good God. Basically, it's a wall of text. It enchants something in a graveyard, brings it back to the battlefield. If this leaves, sacrifice it, or if the creature leaves, this goes to the graveyard. But basically, what happens is, we animate dead Kederek Leviathan. Kederek Leviathan comes in, says, right, all non-land permanents, back to your hands. So, animate dead goes back to our hand. Everything else then goes back to everyone's hand, and Kederek Leviathan dies. So, for 2 mana, we can wipe the board of everything. Oh, it feels so, so good. Everyone's going to be unhappy, apart from me. I love this sort of stuff. But we can rebuild after we've done this. It's fantastic for just reanimating any other big creature, and it's any creature in a graveyard. So we can reanimate our opponent's Ginger Tactics or something like that. Then we've got Keeper of Keys, 5 mana 4/4 human rogue mutant. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. So at the end of turn, you're going to draw a card. If someone deals combat damage to you, you lose the monarchy and you can steal it back. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you're the monarch, creatures you control can't be blocked this turn. Ooh, it's pretty good. Unblockability, obviously fantastic in this deck, and card advantage as well. Delivering Primordial, 7 mana 5/5 flyer. So a nice bit of evasion for some ninjutsu action. When it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, you may cast up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If a spell cast this way we put into a graveyard this turn, exile instead. So excellent if you're going to ninjutsu this in for 4 mana. We're going to get tons of spells, tons of effects, ooh, and 5 damage to your opponent's face. Then, the thing about our commander's ability is it only triggers once per turn. So let's have some more turns. Lighthouse Chronologist, 2 mana for a human wizard. Level up for 1 blue mana. So it's a 1/3 by default. Then if it's levels 4 to 6, it's a 2/4. But if we get to level 7 plus, you know, you could go up to level 86 if you wanted, or 69. At the beginning of each end step, if it's not your turn, take an extra turn after this one. So we're going to get tons more ninjutsu triggers. And the thing with ninjutsu is we can't do it on our opponent's turn because it's an attacking ability, isn't it? So we need to take extra turns or extra combat steps. Can't find any ways to take extra combat steps, so just having a whole turn, why don't we? Then Notorious Throng works quite well with the sort of fairy rogue package we sort of had. 4 mana for a tribal sorcery rogue, prowl for 6 mana. So you can cast this for its prowl cost if you dealt damage this turn with a rogue. Create X 1/1 black fairy 1/1 black fairy rogue creature tokens with flying, where X is the damage dealt to your opponents this turn. If the spell's primal cost was paid, take an extra turn. So we get tons of bodies, get an extra turn, extra combat step, extra ninjutsu. Oh, lovely. Then finally, we got Time Stream Navigator, 2 mana, 1/1 human pirate wizard with Ascend. Pay 4 mana and tap it, put it on the bottom of its owner's library, take an extra turn after this one. Activate this ability only if you have the City's Blessing, so you need 10 permanents. We are going to be taking extra turns. Nice little human pirate, lovely. Great, great card. There's some, funky things you can do with this, where maybe you can play the bottom card of your library. I don't really care. But taking an extra turn for just 4 mana, really nice extra bit of ninjutsu. And those are my top 5 cards for this commander. Quite cool, The preview seasons, they're just melding into one now. Everything, it's just spoilers constantly. Commanders. But it's quite cool, to be fair. I'd consider building a deck around this. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon. Bye.